Good morning. I'm Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. So I've been coming online on weekdays to talk to parents about what's on their mind about as we have our kids learning from home. And during the school year, we talked about remote education, and this summer we're talking about activities to keep your kids learning from home. And we have a guest today. We have Ambika Dani, who's the founder of Promesa Academy Charter School that's opening this fall on the west side of San Antonio. And but she has been teaching math since she was 14 years old. And she is talking today about fun ways to discover math with your kids. So we're going to talk about math games, brain teasers, finding examples of mathematical concepts in nature. So she's passionate about educational equity and also creating lifelong learning experiences. So to get kids excited about learning and so that they'll carry that with them through their lives. So fun fact, Ambika has traveled to 6 of the 7 continents and lived in 7 different countries. So that is really impressive. So I'm really grateful that you've chosen to make San Antonio your home and to open a school here. So
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So you told me that your love of math goes back to your experiences as a kid, like learning and discovering math. So what are some of your favorite memories about learning math as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. So I love playing Monopoly till this day. And a big piece of that was because my parents used to play it with us and we used to sit around the dining table and play it. I have it right here. It's one of my favorite games. But as we played it, I remember my dad asking me questions of once I, rolled an 11 and I was close to a railroad, I would have to think, oh, I need to go 3 to move to here, plus 5 to move to jail, plus 3 more. And it was already like helping me decompose numbers as a young child, which I didn't realize back then, but like now I do as I work with other children. I'm also Indian, and one of the card games we play is called Rummy. So I used to play this with my grandma, with my sisters, with my family. I think a lot of cultures have their own card games, and that's that's another fun way to engage in math. And then as I think about school, I had a 5th grade teacher, Miss Bayeto, who would give us this math puzzle every day, and it was probably the highlight of my day every single day in 5th grade.
That's fun. Speaking of card games, so I have props too. So yes. This has been Uno is a game that my daughter and I love to play, and we play it so often that we often play it like around like kind of 3 to 5 p.m. and I'm kind of unwinding from work and like I'm not as sharp anymore. I need a break, and then we get out, eat a snack, and kind of play. Just play Uno together. And like what's fun is it's like there's the numbers and the matching, the colors, but also then there's like the social aspect of it of when she pulls out the card and I have to draw 4 cards, she's like,
yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. We were doing a problem of the day class on Zoom, and I was doing it with a small group of kids, and we used to play a lot of games, and it was interesting for me as a teacher trying to navigate those situations because I could see kids getting upset at each other when they were like revengeful. But you're right, it teaches you a lot of social skills, and I think as a parent there's a lot of cool things you can teach kids in terms of like how to be good sportsmen and things of that sort.
Yeah. Oh, we have a comment. Let's see. Monopoly rocks. Yeah, Monopoly perennial. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I want to mention. We are doing a giveaway during the video. So yes, the tiny polka dot game, and Ambika has a copy of it, and we're gonna send it to. We're gonna do a random drawing among the people who comment on the video during the live stream, and then we'll pick a random winner and contact you by private message and find out where we can send that game. So Ambika, thank you for donating the game.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Whoever wins it can implement this at home. They'll have a new game to play with. So
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like what you said about the teacher who brought like a brain teaser or had like a math challenge every day. Is that kind of, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but like in your post, which I'm going to update, that'll be on the site today, and I'll update the link in the video. So there is a link in the description that goes to our kind of events calendar, and that's where we've got like a whole. We're planning 2 months worth of posts about summer learning activities. So they're not all up on the site yet. We're still gathering information from our contributors, but there's a lot to explore there for families who want ideas and inspiration. And just as we were talking before we went on the air, I don't want this summer to just be us like kind of waiting for stuff to happen, waiting for school to open, waiting for a vaccine. Like there's a lot of stuff we can do as a family. We can have fun, and SA Charter Moms has a lot of ideas. We're drawing on our community, our team, to get people excited about learning. So this could actually be a fun summer. It doesn't have to be a boring or depressed summer.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a teacher who would present like math puzzles, and then in the post you talk about a great book of math puzzles. I'm really curious about this. I'm gonna download this, but it's like, and they're from Russia. So what's the story about the math puzzle book?
I mean, it just has over 300 math puzzles. And I remember when I first started teaching math, I was taking that experience of like being inspired by my 5th grade teacher and doing a lot of puzzles into my own classroom as a math teacher. And there are puzzles all over the internet, but this book has just some really great puzzles that have been developed over time that feel approachable by all ages. And I think that's the beauty of math puzzles, is like you can do them as a family all the way from your 3-year-old to an adult. It really encourages creative thinking for young learners. And it encourages perseverance, right? Like puzzles can be incredibly frustrating when you can't figure them out. And that's when you start talking and try to get hints or clues or figure it out together. But it presents math in a really fun and engaging way, which oftentimes, unfortunately, isn't the case in schools, even though it really should be.
Right. I mean, what I remember about, I think my experience was very typical for my generation of okay, like today we're teaching this type of long division, and this is the algorithm, and like, so, you write these numbers here, you draw a line, you draw an arrow here, this is and just doing it over and over again. But then there would be times in the real world when I would be trying to solve a problem that I did need division. So like one of my big hobbies as a kid was sewing. And so like if you're trying to make a gathered or pleated skirt, you need to figure out how much wider does the fabric need to be for you to gather it up to make the skirt, and you're having to do division. And then I think actually like having to actually solve a real world problem, right, of like, designing the pleats taught me more about division than just cranking the algorithm, because like I could get the right answer, but I didn't really know what that meant in the real world. And if the problem was presented to me in a different way, I could get stuck. Like I remember we moved from one neighborhood to another, and a school used slightly different notation for long division. And then like the teacher got really frustrated with me. He's like, "You mean you didn't learn long division at your other school?" I'm like, "I did. But we had different notation. I didn't have the resilience." And the teacher was kind of mean to me about it, actually. I was like, it kind of hurt my confidence for a while. But my mom stood up for me, and she kind of sat down with me and like was like, "Look, it's the same. You're getting to the same place. It's just different notation." And like that idea that like the notation is kind of arbitrary. It's really there's this underlying truth that you're trying to get at. That's
and I think what you're speaking to is really like if kids develop a strong number sense in the early grades, they can manipulate math mentally in such powerful ways, and that's what matters more than anything else, right? Calculus is amazing. Not every child needs to study calculus, but it's really this foundational number sense that matters, and that's why I love these games and puzzles, because that's exactly what you're doing, right? You're helping kids build number sense and fluency. Yeah.
And so can you give us more example? Oh, like how does this tie in with seeing math in nature? Like, so because it's like you give the example of a pineapple. I don't know if you have a pineapple. I have a pineapple, and then I ate it for breakfast.
Around me, I don't have a pineapple.
I had a pineapple at 6 a.m., but I cut it up for breakfast. So,
no, yeah,
I've been eating the props.
A pineapple or shell or something. But I think one of the most beautiful things about math is that it does exist everywhere around us. And unfortunately, in our national standards or Texas standards, there's no incorporation of math in nature or the history of math, which is honestly, I think, robbing math of its beauty. But I remember when I was first teaching this to a group of kids, and we had this discussion of like, is math developed by humankind, or did it exist in nature? And it was a really powerful discussion to have with kids. And you start looking at things like the Fibonacci sequence, right? A sequence of numbers where the sum of the two preceding terms make up the next term. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, and it goes on and on. And that sequence is found in nature. It's found in the pineapple. pineapple if you count along the diagonals of the pineapple, which is fascinating that like this mathematical sequence is actually evident in natural things around us. And then the Fibonacci sequence ties into the golden ratio. So the ratio of numbers in the sequence is approximately 1.6, which is the golden ratio, which is also tied to the proportions of our body. So you can, I mean, there's like a newsletter on the Fibonacci applications of the Fibonacci sequence that comes out quarterly because there are so many applications. And I think it's really exciting for kids to actually discover that in nature and see math all around them.
Yeah, I remember. So when I'm a graduate of Trinity University in San Antonio, and I chose that because I wanted to study liberal arts. But I did take calculus, and I also took a physics class, and it was meant to be like, well, it was called like the physics for poets class, but because but it was just an amazing class because like, especially, so it was physics of light and sound. And so we were studying about waves, and then we could like do like hands-on experiments with, and I remember like learning about, like I was taking music appreciation, but then to also have the class about like the physics of sound and like understanding like how musical scales are developed, and like to be able, and then like, you know, playing with ropes and stuff. And like, I mean, it really opened my mind to the beauty of that. And that's stuff that I try to share with my kids. And I love, you know, these days you can't go to as many like interactive things at museums and stuff, but like, you know, when the museum eventually reopens, like their like, you know, light and sound area has, you know, some things you can play with that, although I maybe someday they'll like, I could like sit down and give them some feedback, because I think there's some more, there's more they can do with it, but that's me being super nerd. Like, what about this? What about this? You know? But then also, I mean, like at home we can DIY stuff, and there's resources out there. So
yeah. I mean, there's so much, and I think what's really cool is that this extends like to college, for high schoolers. I remember when I was in college, I took this seminar in math, and it was all about knot theory, which I'd never heard of before. And it's really this study of, it's like mapping out in mathematical formulae the structure of knots, like everyday knots, and the applications of that tie into DNA, into polymers, and like it blew my mind that there was an application tying like knots into DNA. And I just think like for every age group and everyone's level of interest in mathematics, there's always something new you can discover, which is really powerful.
Right. I think you're making an important point, which is that that like these things that like people who are doing really serious cutting edge research, right? Like the shapes of proteins, right? Which, I mean, that's really serious stuff. I mean, that could impact, you know, how we cure diseases and how we understand, genetics and stuff. Yeah. But like the same principles, like there's no barrier to young children,
exactly,
like playing with that stuff too, right? Yeah. And even like, yeah, like learning to tie knots. That's like there's like Klutz series. They make a great book about learning how to tie knots, and they've got like sailing knots, and, you know, like things with like really useful applications. But like I can see like, it's like you could start with like the Klutz knots book, and then bring in a little bit about, okay, well, like this knot has, you know, this many loops, and this knot has this many loops, and like, you know, what's going inside the loop. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it's hands-on. Yeah,
what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how does this apply to like things that you're bringing into the classroom at Promesa, like as you're working on your plans for? And I know you've done like, I remember visiting the like math camp. Yeah, like that was really fun, because I remember the kids doing demonstrations about things like Egyptian number systems, and they, oh gosh, there was a game where like they would guess yeah. It was really fun. They were so excited and proud.
They were, and those were kids, like we had kids come into that camp who hated me the first day they walked into the doors, because they were like, you were the reason my parents signed me up for a math camp. And by the end of it, they didn't want to leave. And that's really the culture that we hope to promote at Promesa, is this love for everything, not just math, but for every content area, every discipline. And we do that by a lot of the things we're talking about, right? We make it engaging, we make it relevant. We talk to kids about math in nature. We talk to kids about puzzles and engage them in mathematical games, because we understand that there's value in that. It's not a distraction, but we're building number sense. We're building confidence in mathematics. We're building creativity. We're building perseverance. And those are things that like mathematicians need to have if they're going to be successful. So all of the things that we're discussing now are actually things that our teachers are building out as we build out our curriculum for Promesa.
Yeah, I think that's really key. I think that that like you can't do like if all you ever do is just follow the algorithm, you might be able to do okay on a standardized test. You might get a decent grade in the class, but it won't equip you to apply math in science, right? And this goes back to what you said about, did humans invent math, or are we just discovering things that are out in nature? And I think the more you encounter, real world problems and situations in nature, you realize that like the math is there, that the truth is there, and that we're just trying to use our tools to analyze it and explain it and understand it.
Yeah. And it's really powerful in every situation. Like I think about the situation we're in right now with COVID and the spread of the virus, and like mapping that out mathematically, modeling that out exponentially. I think it's important for people to have a sense of numbers to understand these situations around us. So I can't overstate the importance of mathematics. I love math because of the way I was brought up, and I want every child to love math, just like I want them to love everything else.
Yeah. And they can like children who learn to love math hopefully can become adults who apply math in their everyday life and use it to problem solve and to make us all safer. So yeah. Okay. I'm so excited to be sharing this post with our readers, because I think that it gives them like real world things they can do that are, so like if you're going on for a walk with your kids, like we go on walks all the time, and we see like little like wildflower daisies growing in the median, and you can look at that and you can count the petals and then talk about right. And
and I have can I share a couple more games with our viewers here?
Really.
Okay. So they're games that you can buy online, right? Set is a really fun one for all ages. I still love playing this as an adult, but like it really promotes spatial reasoning, shapes, and patterns. And they have a Set Junior version for little ones. Like I said, cards are really fun, but you don't need to buy something to create a math game. So this is one of my favorite math games that a teacher at the last school I worked at showed me, and we call it Snuggle Numbers. But really, all you need to do is draw this on a piece of paper, and you roll a 10-sided die, which I think everyone should buy one because you can do so much with it. And the goal is to write numbers in the blanks that are as close as possible to the numbers listed out there. And so if you roll a 7, you want to put that in the sevens place next to 75, because you're trying to make a number close to 75. And the fun of this game is that it's a lot of luck, but you're also thinking about place value, and you're thinking like, oh, if I roll a 1, do I want to put that in the ones place, or do I want to put that in the hundreds place? Because I want a number as close as possible to the target number. So that's a really fun game. I've played it as a teacher with, all the way from like first graders to 12th graders who would ask me if they could play it every day. That's how much fun it is. And the other one, just on a piece of paper, is a hundreds chart. So I found this game online, and I was playing it over Zoom with a group of kids. And the goal here is like just to put tokens or dots down, which are gems in this game. And everyone can start anywhere on the game, and all they need to do is add 1. You can add or subtract 1, or add or subtract 10. And the goal is to collect as many gems as possible. And what was really fun about this game, playing it online with a group of kids, is we started like that one day, and the next day they were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could land on someone else and kick them off the game? So we added in a new rule. And then we talked about prime numbers, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if prime numbers had double the value? And so we added in prime numbers into this game. And so all of a sudden, this like hundreds chart became this really fun mathematical game where we were adding in new concepts every day.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. Wait, but tell me again, how do you start the game? Like the basic version? Okay, so you print out the chart.
You can start anywhere you get to choose where you want to start. So I would place like anywhere between like 10 to 20 gems on the board. And if you have like little coins or tokens, that's a really good way to do it. Just print out a hundreds chart. So I could choose to start at 67 because I know I can add 1 to go to 68. But you could choose to start at 64 because you can subtract 10 to go to 54. And so, we started off with adding or subtracting 1, adding or subtracting 10, and then we gave everyone 2 moves every turn. And then the next time we added on add or subtract 9, add or subtract 11, in addition to the 1 and 10. So it's just a game that you can keep adding on layers of complexity to. One of the kiddos that I played it with is actually trying to create and trademark the game. So we'll see if she does that. But it just, print out a hundreds chart and you can have so much fun with it.
Yeah, and that reminds me of how you're describing it, like in Monopoly. That right, like if depending on what you roll, how far can you go and what the patterns are on the
Yeah.
Monopoly board. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It was amazing to see kids from day one of this game to, we played it like 5 or 6 different times as we added in more rules, and see already the number fluency being building up, right? With them adding or subtracting 10 or 9 and seeing like, oh, to add 9, I'm going to add 10, subtract 1. You see that happen so quickly when they're engaged and they want to learn how to play a game.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a theme we've talked about on Charter Moms Chaps is motivation. It's like, getting good, right? I mean, kids they'll learn so much more if their minds are open to it and they have that like a positive attitude about it if they're having fun while they're learning. So yeah. Okay, well, great. Okay, well, I want to be sure and mention how families can connect with Promesa. So this is the website, promesaacademy.org. And so remind me which grade levels the school's going to open with.
We're opening up this August with kinder, first and second, and then we'll continue to add on a grade every year.
Okay. And I saw that, let's see, you posted on the Facebook page that the slab got poured for what's going to be the pavilion plus cafeteria.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the rest of our foundation is being poured this week. We have some modulars that are being delivered in the next week or two, and then it's also going vertically very soon. So over the next 2 months, our community will see it come up incredibly quickly.
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's I remember when we met a couple years ago at Hemisphere, right? And running around like
that was my first time to Hemisphere, and probably two of me being in San Antonio, and I met you.
Yeah. I remember this being on the drawing board, and then it's really exciting to see it come to life. And I'm so excited, like children being able to get the benefit of, this kind of excitement about math. And all different subjects, but math, I know it's going to be a strength at Promesa. And I'm really grateful. Thank you for writing the post and for being on Charter Moms Chat. You can share these math ideas, and I hope families can have some fun with it, and feel like this summer is meaningful family time and meaningful learning with their kids. So.
Yeah, no, thank you for letting me share more about this. I'm really passionate about kids engaging in math, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, well, just a message to readers, be sure, click the links in the description. We will look at the comments on the video and send out a copy of the tiny polka dot game to a lucky winner.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Thanks, Ambika.
Thank you so much. Bye.